What's good, people? Welcome back to the Bleachverse. So I recently have been checking out a bunch of non-canon stuff. To be more specific, I've been lately binging on the Spirits Are Forever With You Bleach novel, and I've come across a number of very fascinating backstories. With that said, among the more interesting ones that I've recently come across while reading part 2 of the novel was about the espada's Szayelapporo's diabolical past. This interesting backstory uncovered a world of information that I was previously not privy to, especially about Szayelapporo's initial real power. So, in this video, I want to discuss the intriguing past of the most diabolical espada that is not often discussed, and I will also give my 2 cents about said past, so stick around until the end of the video if you want to hear my interesting take on this. Octava Espada Szayelaporro Grants is undoubtedly among the top eccentric characters of the entire Bleach story, and this is mainly because of his unhinged personality. Aside from his maniacal persona, Szayela's other most distinguishing characteristic is his trippy and very unique powers. His resurrection for Nicaras gives him a variety of very lethal abilities. For starters, it enables him to make carbon copies of his opponents, turn them into puppets, and also allows him to possess the bodies of his opponents or their Zanpakuto, as we see in his fight against Mayuri. Ultimately, the pinnacle of Szayela's powers is his ultimate ability dubbed Gabriel, which allows him to be reborn if he is badly injured or even killed. He uses this ability by implanting a portion of himself into his victim. He then devours his way out of their body by absorbing all the fluids and chemicals of the victim, like an insect leaving a cocoon or a husk. This process is fatal to the victim, and the reborn Szayela matures and develops his body back in a matter of seconds from a liquid-like casing coming from the victim's mouth. Szayela takes great pride in the power of Gabriel, comparing it to that of a phoenix, and he pretentiously proclaims himself a perfect being because of having it. However, despite such formidable abilities, it will totally blow your mind to learn that the power levels of the Szayela we get in the arrancar arc are apparently only a fraction of what he initially had during his formative period. The story about this part of Szayela's past is found in the Spirits Are Forever With You novel. Before I proceed further, I would like to say that there may be some spoilers for those who have not read the novels. With that said, Szayela's intriguing past in the novel begins with how he became a holo. So, in the past, while they were still humans, Szayela and his brother Ilford Grants were partners and worked together. Ilford was a ruthless general while Szayela was an alchemist. Despite their different careers, they possessed the same cruelty. Ilford would take his prisoners of war to Szayela, who would then in turn perform his inhumane experiments on the victims. Eventually, the souls of their victims birthed a holo which eventually killed both of the brothers. However, immediately after the holo had killed both brothers in Szayela's lab, Szayela quickly holified and not only consumed the holo, but also consumed his own brother's soul, thereby merging not only their personalities but their spiritual energy. Afterward, Szayela continued to eat other holos, first becoming a Menos Grande and later turning into a Vastolord. As a Vastolord, he had 2 personalities, his own persona which was a calm scientist, and his other persona was that of his brother, which turned him into a ruthless killing machine. Szayela bounced back and forth between these 2 personas. He was usually a calm scientist, but when he switched to his brother's Ilford's persona, he lost control of his intellectual powers and turned into a merciless killer. He was also an expert swordsman and fighter while in this persona. Eventually, King Baragan employed him as a scientist, and after Aizen took over, he was chosen to become an espada and bestowed the number 0. But this rank was only when he ran wild in battle. He held a different number when his personality reverted back to his scientist role. This cyclic switch between personas troubled Szayela because deep down, Szayela did not desire power or rank. Instead, he longed to become the perfect being and while at it become immortal as well. According to Szayela, Ilford's part of him that lost control during battle was a burden, and despite making him the most powerful espada at the time, he felt that achieving his power of Gabriel was more important to him than being the strongest espada. With this logic, Szayel then devolved back into an Arrancar type holo and then split himself into two, isolating his brother's soul from his own soul. This drastically reduced his powers and he was kicked out of the espada. However, he continued his experiments and eventually perfected the power of Gabriel and was allowed back into the espada as rank number 8. His brother Ilford remained in the devolved Arrancar's holo state that Szayel was initially in and became an Ox-type Arrancar, later serving under Grimjo, who was at that time a strong Panther-type Arrancar, and they all served under Aizen. After their split, Szayelaporro didn't feel anything towards his older brother. He pictured his brother as beneath him and didn't care much about raw power either. Having gained the power of rebirth, aka Gabriel, Szayelaporro was confident that he had attained the perfect being. Now, despite the intriguing backstory, a few questions arise on the details of Szayel's reign as the strongest espada, and here is where I want to explore a few factors that I was wondering about after reading the story. For starters, I am very curious about how Szayel's espada number switched from 0 while in his rampage stage down to whatever lower rank he held when he switched back into the calm scientist. Additionally, we also have to wonder how he was considered the strongest yet served under Baragan, because technically serving under him means that he is a minion of Baragan and therefore most likely less powerful than him. Lastly, we have to wonder whether during Szayel's time as the strongest, had Aizen or Baragan come across or recruited stronger Vastolord type holos such as Stark or Ulquiorra. Anyway, I'm going to end this video with that and hand over the discussion to the audience. I would really like to hear your 2 cents about Szayel's time as the strongest espada. Drop your thoughts and any additional information I may have not mentioned on the comment section, and let's keep this discussion going. As always, if you did enjoy the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more great content coming your way. Thanks for watching and I'll catch you on the next one.